Okay guys, in this video I'm going to show you why I think Bitcoin could go so much lower than a lot of people expect. I'm going to show you this with the DXY, the US dollar, and with my Dow Jones chart. And remember guys, indices typically move together. I'm also going to give you some key support resistance levels. We'll kind of dissect some of these charts to make sure you have some price targets you can long and short. Remember, you can access all these live charts on my website, pinned in first comment description. Use my Bitcoin affiliate link. That's also pinned in first comment description as well. Guys, if you like this content, let me like. I appreciate it. If you're notified in future videos, make sure you subscribe to the notification bell. So this chart here in the last video, well actually the last couple videos, so the last two videos back I said this would be an ideal point to chance a long. We did stop at this point. The next day the candle opened below, and this is what I mentioned in the previous video. I said if we break, even though sometimes you'll break right below a strong support level, but when you come back up you test resistance. That's what happened here. We broke below this blue line, tested it as resistance, got rejected. That'd be a point too short, and we came down. Remember guys, this is where I told you to short at 40K, this white line here on the M1 chart. So this is the red line of the previous video here. This is what I was talking about. I'll put a link up to it now if you want to check it out. So this is the next point to chance along. Now we did hold support. We pushed up maybe $400 or $500, so that would have been a good scalp trade. If you took your profit, great. We ended up coming back down and we broke this point. But again, as I said in this video, if you go back and watch it, I said if we break below it and it becomes resistance, that is bearish. That means we have more downside. And this does go along with the indices. So this is the chart on the daily. Now while it's pretty obvious here, this blue line where we found resistance because the next daily candle opened, if you look at it here, well, you just see this wick that comes all the way up and back down. But if you zoom in and you look at this, so it looks like we didn't even respect this red line at all. You know, we dropped below it, wicked above it, came back down. But if you change this chart to the 3 hour and look at it on the smaller time frame, you can get up close and personal and you can see how strong of a resistance level this is. While I said yes, it would be strong support, again, you know, everybody was selling. It was, you know, people were capitulating. It was dropping. But look what happened when it pushed back up. Again, this is that blue line. Like I said, you could have longed it. You could have made a little profit if you got out. Notice we came back up. We tested it as resistance. Strong support will flip as strong resistance. So you could have shorted 33,335 all the way down. And look what happened at this red line. You can see we got this crazy wick above it, but on the 3 hour, notice the meat of the candle is below this red line. So again, that's what look at this wick. This wick came up and touched it almost exactly. You could have shorted 31,812 all the way down to 29,779. We pushed back up, got rejected, got a crazy wick above, meat of the candle below, crazy wick above, meat of the candle still below. So your major resistance right now on the M1 chart is right here, 31,821. If we get above that and hold support, well, that's bullish up to 33,443. If we continue down, again, this is the lowest point we've gone. We have not dropped below this point. I'm on the 3 hour here. Let me go back to the other chart. But this is the next point that needs to hold to get a bounce, around 28,769. And you can see that on this chart. This is the lowest point we've gone, which this green line right here. So on the 22nd of January 2021, we dropped to this point. This was on the 21st of June 2021. We dropped to that point, and then we're almost right at it now. So this line has to hold. And you can see I've got an alert here if we hit this point, because I'm going to chance along at this point. If this breaks, guys, like I mentioned in this previous videos, I think we're headed to potentially around 22,000. You know, around this area. This is where the 200 weekly moving average is right here. And if this holds and we ended up coming back down and breaking it, then I think we're going to be testing 16,500. Again, this is around late July, 16,500, and possibly testing 22,000 by this right here is June 5th. I do think those targets are likely, and I will give you key support resistance levels when we go through some of these charts. So if and by the way, guys, if you do sign up to get access to my charts, I do keep you updated in Twitter and in Discord. And I'm not going to be making a video probably till Monday. I have a lot of things I need to knock out. I need to work some more on the game, work on the charts, but I will keep you guys updated in Twitter and Discord. This was a tweet I made about 3 hours ago, and this is when markets were opening, and I was saying, look, if the Dow gets topped out, and we're going to cover that as well. So, you know, this is likely a point to short. You know, it was giving targets. This was a lot of resistance. We had wicks above it, but so this next point too short, this will be the next point too long. And you can see how this played out. We got rejected. We did get a wick above it. Notice we came back up. We tested resistance 32,110. And then we found support right down here. Pushed back up. Now we're coming back down to test it. So your current support right now, at the time of me recording this video, 30,933. I will give you a support and resistance levels. So I'm going to show you how these charts played out. This was another tweet I made. The Dow was pushing up. And we come up to resistance. I said rising wedge. Watch for possible break of support. We were in this rising wedge. I said if we break this point, we're probably going to drop. You can see what happened. We broke this support. The Dow started coming down like negative 150. So again, if you follow the indices, you can get an idea of the direction for Bitcoin. We'll come back. I'll give you support and resistance levels. But I want to show you why things could be a lot worse than people expect. This is another chart we'll come back to. We found a perfect, well, not perfect, but we got pretty close to this point. So this is a key resistance level to watch. So that's why I'm going to come back and give you these. And we're going to kind of zoom out and show you which of these lines are the strongest support. So if we do drop, you know where to potentially put in a long. If we push up, where to put in a short. So that's what we're going to do after I show you the Dow and the DXY. So this is the Dow Jones chart, and this is what I was talking about this morning in Discord and on Twitter. So the Dow was down here around 32,378, and we were pushing up, and I was talking about, well, we're getting close to this ring. Let's see if we get rejected. And if you watch previous videos, I was talking about once we get below this orange ring as resistance, that is bearish for the Dow to potentially come down as much as, well, our next target is around 28,000, well, whenever you make contact with this. That is one hell of a drop, but that's nothing compared to how much this could actually drop. With inflation, supply chain issues, pandemics, possible war, well, we're already at, or Russia's already at war with Ukraine. It's basically a proxy war. The U.S. is actually with a war with Russia by, you know, getting involved in it. But hey, we're not getting into that. I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff going on right now. On top of all that, interest rates are pretty much near zero. You know, before when things got bad, interest rates weren't zero, so they had some wiggle room. They can't lower their interest rates to negative. So things are bad. They're getting worse. I'm just saying it can go a lot lower than people expect. And I hope when I show you all this, it'll make sense. So this is this chart. So this is the same chart. I have a lot on here. I just got rid of everything and just left the orange fib circles. Just want to show you how well price is respecting this and why I think this is a likely target. And what you need to understand is this right here, this is when we had our COVID crash, right? We came down, the Dow came down a total of around 30, I think 36, 38%, something like that. You can't see the wicks because it's on line drawing. But when the Dow crashed 37, a little over 37%, Bitcoin crashed 68%, all right? Keep that in mind. Just a 36% crash caused Bitcoin to crash 68%. Well, just coming down to this ring, which looks like our next target, would be a drop of around possibly 11, maybe 12%. So if Bitcoin drops twice as much, that's a 20% drop for Bitcoin just coming down to test this ring. And you can see why. We got topped out at this ring. You see this was resistance, came down to support, perfect resistance, perfect support, perfect resistance, perfect support. See, we got resistance here. We got topped out here. We found support here. Resistance. We topped out at this last ring. Resistance, support. Recently told you short the Dow here. Notice we came down, we found support, we pushed back up. So if we do push up, which we did, you can see that here on this chart, we pushed up, we tested this ring, we got rejected, we're coming down. So where's your next likely target? Right down here. And again, that's bearish within itself. All right, that means, you know, maybe if we come down to this target, that's when we come down and we test possibly 22,000. But it could be a lot worse, guys. This is a chart I published on August 22nd, 2021. And this is a confluence of other charts that told me when we hit this ring. Now, I expected, based on this chart, you can see right here, we hit this ring, we moved down it. I thought we would hit this ring and move underneath it. Actually, what happened is when we hit this ring, we started riding down it. We hit play, show you how this played out. So you notice how we're just moving down this ring. This is our next major support. Now I'm going to show you the distance we would have to drop to come down to the support. You see we got a perfect touch here. So this is the live chart, and this is why I'm saying things could get a lot worse. And as I told you before, this right here, where this red arrow is, that is where we had our COVID crash. And again, Bitcoin follows the indices. This was a drop of around 37%. Bitcoin dropped 68%. Just imagine, all right, just coming down. And these white arrows, this is our next major support level. The next major support level below that is this red line. I'll show you this as well. So if we come down to that target, and by the way, just to show you, let me put another arrow here. All right. You can see back here, this was resistance and support. The last time we held support on this line was back on the 1st of November 2012. All right, we've been respecting this line. The next time we touched it, coincidentally, we touched that white line and the red line at the same time. So this became our support, right? So this was our support on, was the 2nd of March 2020. We got a bounce from that point. We pushed up, now we're coming down. So we know this is our next major support level. So if we drop, and keep in mind guys, if we drop 37%, Bitcoin drops 68%, imagine how much Bitcoin's going to come down if we drop another 32%, well 33%. Well, okay, so if 37% is how much we dropped last time, Bitcoin dropped 68%, we can expect Bitcoin to drop at least another 50 to 60% to come down to this key support. Well, you can see we had a touch right here. This is actually a trend line we were respecting, or a fib channel line we were respecting as well. That gave us this point right here. This is just a trend line right here. But you can see this support level on this white line gave us this support. They created this first point on this red trend line. When we came down and held support on this white trend line, this gave us another point that created this support level here. So if things get bad and we break below this point, this is the next possible, I mean, I'm telling you, if it gets that bad where we break this support, your next major support down below is down here, and that is a drop of, that's 62 to 64%. If the markets come down that much, it will be like the dot-com bubble. You know, the only companies that survived was what, Amazon, Yahoo, and Google, the big ones. The other ones just disappeared. And remember, Amazon had a hell of a crash. I mean, they dropped down to really low numbers and then finally pushed back up. So this could be, if the indices have this much of a crash, this could be like the dot-com bubble for crypto. You know, some of them will just disappear. Bitcoin could, I'm just saying, the 300 weekly moving average, we could go so much lower than that. I'm just preparing you for possibilities, all right? Currently, you can see the Dow is down 326 points. I mean, this is the only thing you need to pay attention to. If you're always looking at the indices, you know which way Bitcoin's going. When you see the indices up 500, 1,000 points in the green, Bitcoin's pushing up. When you see the indices down in the negative, negative 300, 500, negative 1,000, Bitcoin's dropping. That's just how it works. You see Bitcoin's coming down right now. Once you break 38,861, this is your next key support level below. And I'll give you these targets. I just want to show you why I think it could get a lot worse than people are expecting. I've covered this before. This is the DXY versus Bitcoin. And take note that this white line, these white lines right here, I have this here for a reason, just to give you an idea of time frame. But when we had our peak up here around, this is back in 2016. Hold on. So this is Bitcoin. This was our peak at 20,000, all right? 20,000, take note this white line, right? So you can clearly see the inverse correlation. The DXY is above, the US dollar, Bitcoin below. So when the DXY, the dollar dropped 15%, Bitcoin pushed up 2,500%. The dollar pushed up almost 11%, Bitcoin dropped about almost 84%. The dollar dropped a little over 13%, Bitcoin pushed up a little over 1,400%. And currently, the dollar has pushed up 16.60%. Bitcoin has dropped a total of, well, a little over 50%, so around 55%. So you can clearly see if the dollar continues to push up, that is bearish for Bitcoin, bearish for the markets. So again, this white line here, I'll show you this on the other chart. Currently, the dollar has been pushing up. A lot of people, for the longest time, people were saying the dollar is going to go to zero, the dollar is going to collapse. Well, you know, the dollar has been doing pretty damn good. The dollar is hovering around 103 right now. The lowest it was back on, let's see, this is the 25th of May 2021, it was 89.63. If we go further back, you can see that the dollar's been going up since, this is the 29th of April 2011. It was at 72.89. Look how much the dollar's pushed up. And what I want to show you, if we go to this next chart, this white line right here, this right here, just this time frame right here, from here to here, which is, well, this is on the monthly, but just this small time frame right here, right? That is what I just showed you on this chart, right back here, that right here. So when we had our peak with the DXY, this is the lowest point on 2017. All of this price action with Bitcoin right here took place from this point right here to current price action. And look what, I mean, if you zoom out the bigger picture, this is the DXY, the US dollar, goes back to 1967. I see a huge falling wedge that we just broke to the upside. And typically how you measure this is you go the distance from the mouth, right? From the mouth to, from the opening, you call this this is our support, this is our resistance. This is a falling wedge. Support, resistance, support, resistance, support. We just broke above resistance, held support, and we're pushing up. And again, a falling wedge, that's how you measure the distance. You go from the mouth, right? From where you broke out, that takes you all the way up to 178. That would be catastrophic for Bitcoin and for the markets. And as things get worse for other countries and their currencies start collapsing, people are going to jump into the world reserve currency, the US dollar. That's why the US dollar has been pushing up so much. And again, I'm just showing you, if the Dow comes down as much as I'm showing you, and again, this is nothing compared to if we drop down to these support levels down here. And that could be what triggers the US dollar pushing up to a target as high as 178. So I'm just making you very aware things could get a lot worse. People expect us to bottom on the 200 weekly moving average. Back here on this chart, if we go back, you can see, let me put this on, well, I'm going to leave this on candle so you can see it. Back here, every time we dropped, right, even back here, people are like, okay, the 200 weekly moving average, that's our support, because back here in 2015, Bitcoin bottomed on that. If you go forward in time, when we had a crash in 2018, well, found support right here on the 200 weekly moving average. So if we came down, people would think, a lot of people did buy here, thinking, oh, this is our support, 200 weekly moving average. We bottomed on the 300 weekly moving average. So now people are thinking, okay, well, if we drop the lowest point we can go, well, we know that we tested the 200 weekly moving average before, so that's probably going to hold as support. And if it doesn't, then we got the 300 weekly moving average. Well, what if that breaks? Do we break out the 400 weekly moving average and the 500 weekly moving average? I'm just saying, if the markets drop as much as possible, because we haven't had Bitcoin around in a sustained bear market. The last serious bear market we had was in 2008. Bitcoin hadn't even been created then, where it just started out. So I'm just making you aware of why things could be a lot worse. So let me give you your key support and resistance levels to pay attention to. And I've covered this before, guys. I've told you that if and when we break below, I guess, well, this ring right here, this is what I was talking about. Once we break below this ring, and this is where I told you it's short every time you hit this white line on the M1 chart. So once we break below this ring, the capitulation begins. We drop down, we hit this point, we got rejected. Capitulation has already started, as far as I'm concerned. So I still believe that once we break 28,739, and I think eventually it will break, especially if the markets continue down. If that's the case, guys, I'm telling you, I do believe we're coming down to at least test around 22,000 by early June. And again, if we move sideways and down, and the U.S. markets continue down, I think it's very possible we could test 16,500 late July, early August. And if it gets worse, like the scenarios I just showed you with the Dow Jones, I mean, we could be coming way the hell down here. This is the next support level I have. If you understand how these charts work, this is actually target around 9,155. Now here is 8,846. There's actually a gap, a CME futures gap. It's actually a pretty substantial gap for Bitcoin. So I'm just saying there are targets down below. I don't think we go lower than this point, but if it got really bad, that's also a target. All right, so let me go through. Let's give you some other price targets, guys, in the smaller time frame. So this we know right now. All right, and I think I covered this earlier. Your current resistance right now, major resistance. And go back and watch the previous video. I followed this line all the way back and showed you why it was such strong support and resistance. And yes, while we just dropped right past it, now you can see it is acting as strong resistance. So 31,850. As long as we're below this point, expect more downside. If we hold support above this point, I will long up to our next resistance, which is 33,474. Your next support to watch, again, is at the lowest point we've gone, that we've dropped to since our previous all-time high. So if we drop below this point, we have a lot more downside. I can tell you right now, this line right here, this was a lot of support and resistance. This is where I told you guys to short up here around 68,000. This has been support and resistance going back a good ways. So we know if we come down, first support level to watch, all right, this is going to be a support level here, right, 25,314. But this is going to be strong support. Just like this is the same fib channel line, just like I told you to short every time you make contact with this white line, right? The point I told you short was 48,152. And every time you hit it, you short. There's another one, 46,279. This is another time I told you to short at 43,000, and more recently told you to short at 40,000. So just like this white line up here was an ideal point to short, this white line down here is going to be an ideal point to long. So if we had one straight drop down, you could long 24,192, and you might get a bounce up to 28,723. But ultimately, pay attention. The 200 weekly moving average is right here, and then the 300 weekly. I think most people will buy at these targets. So again, 21,978 to 16,047. Those are your macro targets. All right. Let's go through some of the other charts, guys, and give you some key support resistance levels. So I can tell you right now, we did come down. We got a wick to this point. We did go much lower. You see your current support right now on the H1 chart is right here at 30,902. Your next support level below is 30,341. Your current resistance is right up here, double resistance. See how we're respecting this white trend line here? The meat of the candle is below on the 2 hour. So you've got a lot of resistance. If we push up next point to short, it'd be this is right at 32,000, 31,963. Perfect point to short. You get above that, guys, all you have to do is go back and look left. You can see this green line, how well it's been respected as support and resistance. So if you push up, well, there's another point to short. If you push up to that point, you would short 32,933, up to potentially almost 33,000. If we drop, well, let's go back and follow this line back. Look how much support this has been. This line right here. We pushed straight up, and then we started moving sideways, came back down. We tested it as support right here. We tested as support 2 more times right here. So we know that is a support level. If we come down, hold on guys, sorry about that. If we drop, your next point to long, right, is right down here at 29,148 to potentially 28,800, and that's confluence with this target right here, guys. 28,750. 28,700. So that's confluence for a point to potentially put in long. If that breaks, we have a lot more downside. Let's go to the, let's see, this is the C1BD chart. Let me zoom out. So you can see this is a lot of resistance above us. And if you go look left, you can see why. And I covered this in the previous video. This right here, let me get rid of this Bollinger Band and ribbon so you can see it. This red line right here, right? This red line. This was a lot of support and resistance. It was support, support, resistance, support, more support, right? And then you've got this red line right here. This was previous resistance. We didn't quite make it up to it here, but a lot of resistance here. So that's what I call double support if you're above it, and if you're below it, it's double resistance. That's why we got rejected at that point. So if we push up, a likely point to short is right at 32,337 to potentially 32,460. Let's look at these blue lines below. Let's see which is the strongest support and resistance level, which one we've tested the most. It looks like this line right here. You see it was resistance, resistance, support. All of that resistance before we pushed up. And let's bring this out. Well, that was pretty much right where we were just barely, we almost made contact with it before we pushed up. So if we drop, that's a likely 0.2 chance along, right? Right here around, this is 29,130. What's the next line look like below that? This is a lot of resistance right here. Resistance, more support. And let's see what that price target happens to be. So we bring this down, 28,197. So we know 28,000 up to 29,000 is going to be a lot of support. If this breaks, we have a lot more downside. If you get above, guys, if we get above 32,460 and hold support, we have more upside, and that goes along with this chart right here. If we hold support above this resistance, right? We had wicks above it, but if we hold support above this point, that is bullish. So 31,889, if we hold support and push up, just like on this chart here, if we hold above 32,460, and this chart is in confluence with that as well. Notice we pushed up, we got a wick to this point on the C1 chart. So if we push up and get above and hold support above 32,615, then we're bullish for more upside targets. You can see currently our resistance right now is this yellow. This is actually, I have it highlighted with yellow, but this is a fib channel line. So our current resistance right now is right here, 31,298. Again, if you push up, next point short is 32,600. If we get above that and hold support, guys, then maybe it's turning bullish. But again, follow the indices. Indices up, 500 or 1,000 points. Things are turning around. They're looking bullish. In the meantime, we have more downside, guys. I'm sorry. Your current support on the C1 chart, 30,728. Let's zoom out. Let's look at this green line here. Let's see how price respected this green line on the C1 chart. All right, so that is this line right here. You can see me get rid of the Bollinger Bands here. So right here, you can see resistance, resistance, more resistance. So again, and you can see that's just like on the other chart. That is the next major support below. So if we drop down to this point, this is the point chance along, 29,237 down to potentially 28,233. So those are your key support and resistance levels. And if you do get above, again, that's if you get access to the charts. These are live charts. You can load them up on your mobile phone, tablet, desktop. If you get above and hold support above 32,603, well, your next point to potentially short is right here, 32,839. This is just scalp trading. If we get above this point and hold support at 32,600, the markets are pushing up, you might as well just, if you want to do a long and stay in, because it's going to retrace back down. But if we get above this point, things are going to flip bullish, in my opinion. But if we stay below this point, I would just scalp trade or stay on your short, especially if you're still in a short from 40K. But just showing you how to play the charts and just, guys, always look left. See how price previously respected these fib channel lines to get an idea what price is going to do. But guys, I think that's it. I think I covered all these charts. Just want to show you why I think things could get really bad. Just one more time, guys, make sure you pay attention. The M1 charts which you need to pay attention to. So we know right now, if we get above 31,890 and hold support, let's bullish up to 33,450. We get above and hold support above 33,450. Well, your next resistance is right here. Previous support will flip as resistance, 36,000. I would probably take profit at that point. And we know, just like every time we hit this M1 chart, this line on the M1 chart, you short it. So if we move sideways and it's out here, 36,000. If we push straight up, 38,500. But every time you hit this line on the M1 chart, short it. That's what I'll be doing. All right, guys. Remember, if you want to use the BitGet, you don't need a VPN to mask your IP address. It's legal to use in the US, Canada, and Australia. I use BitGet. I'm happy with them. Use my affiliate link. It's pinned in the first comment description. And if you want to access these charts, my website's opticalcrypto.com. The link's pinned in the first comment description as well. I do have stocks and tutorials teaching my method of charting. But guys, that's it. Trade safe, trade smart. I'm out.